Okay, so if you haven't been to the box, we're a new multidisciplinary art centre and museum for Plymouth. We opened in September 2020. We're rooted in the community. Our mission is to use our home in Plymouth to support individuals to be creative and curious about the world around them. Sorry, what button do I press to move it along? There we go, that's better. We had a £46 million renovation that kept the traditional Edwardian facade of the old Plymouth Museum and Art Gallery on one side, but combined it with this new box in the sky, which is supposed to be the biggest cantilever concrete structure in Britain with 149 glass panels. So that building is a really good example of the old with the new. So a physical embodiment really of our vision, which is reimagining the future through the past. These great changes to the building and the identity of the box at a time when we've seen unprecedented challenges and divisions in the world have opened up opportunities for us to work in new ways, connecting people with the city's cultural collections and exploring the pressing issues of our age. In this paper, at a conference encouraging a how-to method of sharing practical ideas, I'd like to share some of the initiatives we have underway at the box that use natural history collections to reveal positive stories of climate action. By taking this affirmative and action-orientated approach to talking about climate change, we found we've become much more successful at shining a light on environmental loss and raising awareness amongst the communities we serve, as well as addressing eco-anxiety and well-being. Like many organisations, the box has issued a climate emergency statement. And as someone new to the box last year, I felt particularly intrigued by this bit that says we're establishing ourselves as a catalyst for urgent action. So what does that actually look like? How do we deliver on that pledge and make sure that the words don't just sit on the page, we're translating it into the action that we've promised? At the box, our climate emergency statement offers our permanent natural history gallery that we call the Mammoth Gallery as the best place that you can go to see how climate change has altered the world around us. The introductory panel to that gallery asks visitors to come and discover the vast diversity of life in the past and today on land and in the sea. The exhibits you'll find in that gallery include Pleistocene cave finds, entomology, botany, spirit-preserved marine specimens, taxidermy, and minerals. The centerpiece for the gallery is Mildred the Mammoth. The curator at the time explained that she's a symbol of something our planet has lost. She highlights both the brilliance and the fragility of nature. So in that respect, she's the perfect spokespiece to introduce these wider themes of climate change, not just because she's got this wow factor, but because she represents mammoth changes to life on Earth. My challenge as the new curator of this gallery is to make sure that the content is going to remain relevant. It's new, it's only 2 years old, it was designed externally, but it's already proving challenging to make major changes that are going to keep pace with our institutional commitment to climate action. Science and understanding is moving along so fast that even a new gallery is very quickly out of date. At the start of this year, I designed a tour of the gallery with a new slant from a curator's perspective. It would be an opportunity to give some new interpretation without making those expensive physical changes and also back up our climate emergency statement by drawing out some less blatant or hidden relevancies to the climate crisis. I wanted to do this without presenting it as a climate change lecture, which would instantly turn people off and probably reduce the number and variety of people that would want to attend. I knew it had to be a new or alternative way to frame climate change to avoid some of the barriers that instantly go up when a topic is perceived as negative or overwhelming. Data from the Office of National Statistics in 2021 tells us that 3/4 of adults in Great Britain are worried about the impacts of climate change, and eco-anxiety, or climate anxiety as it's sometimes known, is a recognised mental health concern. There was an article in The Lancet in 2021 that provided the first large-scale investigation into how climate anxiety manifested itself in young people that surveyed 100,000 participants from 10 different countries. And it concluded that climate anxiety is a rational response to a threatening and uncertain situation, but it can also be practical and even useful because it has this beneficial effect of leading people to reassess their behaviour. There are some fantastic online resources now from places like Greenpeace and the National History Museum that talk about how we can turn climate anxiety into practical action. For me, one action I've committed to is to try and find a good news story and stop my doom scrolling, find good news stories that shows we're making a positive difference. And that's how the title for my new tour, Climate Notes of Hope, was born. Climate Notes of Hope was advertised to join a curator's tour looking at objects that have played a positive role in communicating and even combating the effects of climate change. I wanted to take specimens and exhibits that many people have walked past every day and seen before, and uncover new stories of hope and connections to climate action that they may not have been aware of. And I'll share a few examples to illustrate how I did that on my tour. So the peppered moth has played a huge role in climate change research since the Industrial Revolution. It's probably one of the earliest examples of human impact on the natural world that we understood. The first almost completely black moth was recorded in 1848 in the centre of industrial Manchester. But by 1900, almost 98% of peppered moths in urban areas were these new dark moths. The scientists concluded that it was an example of natural selection because the darker moths could camouflage more successfully in forests that were heavily polluted by the Industrial Revolution. We now see this effect in reverse. As people are more aware of climate change and pollution is reducing, the moths are lightening again. So studying the colour of peppered moth populations can tell us a lot about the health of a localised environment. In this way, moths are great scientific data. They're a physical manifestation of our successes in reducing pollution. We also have a single specimen of Britain's rarest bee, the six-banded nomad. You can only find it at one location in South Devon. Supported by the charity Bug Life, the Life on the Edge project is restoring the wildflower-rich clifftop habitat and working to educate landowners, farm owners, as well as the general public, so that the bee populations can expand and recolonize along the south coast. There's every chance that this is going to be an overwhelming success story. Many of our stories of hope are connected to extraordinary individuals. The most recent accession into the natural history collections at the Box is a cabinet of butterflies collected by the late Barry Ofield, who was the president of the Cornwall Butterfly and Moth Society. His greatest achievement was saving what's perhaps Britain's rarest butterfly, the Heath fritillary, from the brink of extinction by reintroducing it along the Tamar Valley on the Devon-Cornwall border. The population there is still strong. It's now into 20 generations after Barry's initial release. I also felt it was really important to highlight climate research happening in Plymouth and its relevance to our collections. We've got more marine scientists based in Plymouth than anywhere else in the country. A visit to any one of the three organisations that make up Marine Research Plymouth is incredibly inspiring. You see the tangible action that they take every day to understand more or combat climate change. But although their research is actively shaping global environmental policy and it has far-reaching impact, it often doesn't translate to the audiences on our doorstep, and they remain unaware that this amazing work is happening behind closed doors. So, for example, the continuous plankton recorder we currently have on loan from the Marine Biological Association, the MBA, allows us to share this extraordinary story of the most extensive training programme in the world. By 2020, it had covered over 7 million miles, which is the same as 326 circumnavigations of the globe. When the survey began in 1931, it was to map plankton to understand herring populations, and it ties in with the story of the founding of the MBA in 1884 by scientists who were arguing that fish populations were in danger of overfishing, bravely uniting at the time against a government commission that argued the opposite, that there was plenty more fish in the sea. To me, that brings out parallels with climate scientists still fighting to be heard a century later, and it's an important story to share because it shows the difference made when individuals can speak up and influence change. Just like the scope of the MBA, the continuous plankton recorder itself has now evolved far beyond its original purpose. It has new uses that wouldn't have been imagined when it was first conceived. Its data is useful not only to look at the health of plankton now, but at the impacts of litter, plastics, and ocean acidification due to climate change. Our connection with the MBA was strengthened in the year 2000 when we received a substantial collection of spirit-preserved marine invertebrates. There are thousands of individual specimens there with great potential to share stories relating to the climate emergency, such as the lamprey, a good indication of clean rivers because they don't breed in polluted waters. And lamprey are now found in the River Thames, which is a river that's gone from being proclaimed biologically extinct in the 1960s to now one of our cleanest rivers in Europe in the 21st century. The lost-and-outed seahorse is an example of recent action being taken to recognise its importance and conservation needs. It's one of only 2 seahorses you can find in UK waters. You only find it along the south coast and a small area of West Wales. In the UK, it's now a priority species. and marine conservation zones can be designated if the long-snouted seahorse is present. I was really pleased with the response to the Climate Notes of Hope tour and the conversations we had with visitors who took part. Research that went into the tour and the publicity it received has gone on to shape many more events based on this premise of positivity when you're communicating climate change. It's a theme that's really gained momentum for us. It's helped us reach a variety of audiences with some new approaches to exhibits and proving more potential to collaborate. So I was asked in February 2023 to link a talk on butterflies to Heidi Morstang's exhibition Field Observations at the NatSCA Gallery in Plymouth. Premiere of Heidi's film 47 Degrees focused on a survival of the Edith checker spot butterfly and the work of 2 dedicated scientists to monitor their populations. This allowed me to link the story we told in the Climate Notes of Hope tour about Barry O'Field's work with the heath fritillaries in the Tamar Valley. I focused on butterflies as the ultimate symbol of climate change, not just because their ecosystems are hypersensitive to climate change, but because they've been used for thousands of years across cultures to represent regeneration and hope. Also in 2023, I've designed 3 showcases that develop this theme of hope in the climate emergency, linked under the heading Climate Cases. The first case features 3 drawers from Barry O'Field's butterfly cabinet. The selection represents what we've lost, but also what we've achieved. So specimens you'll find there include the large tortoise shell, once widespread but now extinct, the heath fritillary that was brought back from the brink, and the purple hairstreak, which is actually extending its range and doing quite well. The second climate case features coral and the impact of heat stress. And the third case, it's not featured here because it's waiting to be installed, will feature cabinet skin seabirds and the story of avian flu. All 3 of the labels in these cases signpost visitors where to go to find out more about the issues and how to make small changes to make a meaningful difference. Like many of you, we've just taken part in the World Escape, the Arts Council initiative inspired by the beautiful new BBC Wild Isles series. And all of us responded differently to this brief to select an object and imagine a better future for it. We returned to the 6-banded Nomad Bee, and the result was a program of events where we combined climate education with celebration, and we called it Be Positive. So as the title suggests, we wanted to focus on the future and tenacious survival of the bee, rather than the fact that its numbers have reduced so terribly. We worked with a local inner city school to plant seeds, and we carried out a variety of children's activities, including bee crafts, storytelling, talks from experts. I ran a curator's table where I used a drawer of bees from the store to play a fact or fiction myth-busting game with children. The aim of that was to remove misconceptions and talk about the positive impact of bees on the health of the planet. It's probably been our most successful school holiday offering to date. So in the second week of Easter, we had over 8,000 visitors. Having worked so successfully with Life on the Edge for Be Positive, I just wanted to quickly highlight a few more examples of how we've increased our offer through partnership working. So in 2022, we worked with the National Marine Park of Plymouth with a series of events called Magical Park. We worked with some more partners, including University of Plymouth, Ocean Conservation Trust, and Green Minds, to deliver activities that inspired families to find out more about the unique environment of Plymouth Sound. So it included decorating our learning room with mules, planting chalk drawings outside, and experiencing the sound through virtual reality headsets. We're currently working again with the Marine Park to develop a new school session based on climate change and ocean citizenship, which we think is the first of its kind. And resources we've created feature profiles of people connected to the Marine Park in different ways that try to protect it, including scientists, fishermen, swimmers, artists, and museum curators. As well as looking at the positive role of people and their aspirations for a healthier environment, we're also using our local marine collections to tell more of those stories of adaptation and survival that we featured in the Climate Notes of Hope tour. So as part of this greater network of cultural and scientific organisations that work to safeguard Plymouth Sound, we've also reached out and gathered new perspectives on some of our well-loved collections, like this painting, A Fish Shell on a Cornish Beach by Stanhope Forbes, which is really beloved in our collections. This year, we've interpreted it for the first time with the lens of climate change. To do this, we've asked scientists working in related fields at Marine Research Plymouth to relay their unique insight in a new label for the first time that frames the painting with their own contemporary ocean research. So just to finish, my closing thoughts are that as curators of natural science collections, we've got such a gift to explore the potential of items in our care to inspire curiosity and ignite a fire to safeguard the natural world. We can do it in lots of different ways, including recognizing that natural history collections give us hope and using positive stories of hope to inspire climate action. Thank you.
Thank you. Just got some questions. Time for questions. If anyone's got any.
Everyone wants lunch.
Everybody wants lunch. Hey, there you go.
Hi, great talk and very in depth, but I'm just wondering.
I'm told she's the same type of bird they used for in Star Wars for the Wookiees. I don't know whether that's true. But I can get back to you with details of. She was designed in America by a company and sent over to us. We've got some nice pictures of her coming in crates with her head loose and things like that. Oh, sorry, the question was about how Mildred the mammoth was created. Yeah, she was created by a company in America.
I've got one.
Maybe I should start with that. I was just wondering, so whether or not you have a large team of you that are working on this, whether you have a restricted team, and how are you going to move? Is it, like you said, things are moving so quickly. How are you going to just keep up with that, basically? Because that's one thing I didn't have to do.
Okay, so the question was about who are the team that are helping these things to take shape. And I think, you know, we've got a fantastic engagement team working at the box with learning facilitators that do all these school workshops and school holiday events anyway. And working with them is such a gift because they're really passionate about communicating anyway. And it's just linking up the collections team or with the engagement team. That's something we haven't perhaps always communicated to our best, and understanding more about how each other works opens up these new possibilities. They can't engage with the public if they don't understand about the collections, so we've just got to be communicating all the time. Thank you.